We are increasingly aware of the impact that we make on our environment by our activities. For example, traveling to and from work or flying to business or holiday locations. Some of us have a far more devastating impact on the environment than others do. And one of the factors that we hear a lot about is something called our carbon footprint. Basically, this is how much CO2 gas we're responsible for producing. Carbon dioxide is the most harmful of the greenhouse gases. So how do we produce them? Well, through our consumption of resources, be it driving your car to work, where you're directly responsible for carbon dioxide being produced out of the exhaust of your car, to far more subtle ways that we're responsible. Say, eating that salad at lunch. It comes in a plastic bowl, which had to be manufactured, producing carbon dioxide emissions. And don't forget that the lettuce had to be trucked 25 miles to the restaurant. And then there's electricity that powers the refrigerator that kept it cold till you ate it. And even the garbage truck's emissions as the bowl is taken to the landfill or recycling center. That is our carbon footprint, the impact that we have on our environment. Now, people who are concerned about the impact of their lifestyle on the environment are trying to do something about it. Many airlines will now tell you how much impact you're responsible for in terms of greenhouse gases when you buy tickets from them, and they'll offer you the ability to offset that impact by purchasing credits that go towards planting trees and green power plants, other positive environmental activities. That's often referred to as offsetting your carbon emissions. Now, I want to show you a website that lets you calculate how much impact you have accurately and then extend it into the rest of your life. It's called MoBlu. And the cool thing is that they use Google Maps to show you where you're going and allow you to calculate your impact, but they also allow you to do multiple legs of a trip. For example, I've got a business trip loaded here, which is a typical trip. It's one that I just took a couple of weeks ago from my home in Delta all the way out east to a bunch of locations out in eastern Canada and then back home. So it's not just my flight to Toronto that produced carbon emissions, but my drive to the airport. So here we see each leg of the trip, starting at my home in Delta, out to Vancouver International Airport, flying to Toronto, driving around Toronto in business trips, back and forth to my hotel to visit a friend in Port Hope, Ontario, back to the airport in Toronto, out to Ottawa for another meeting, driving to the meeting in Ottawa, back to the airport, flying home, and then finally driving back to my house. So my total impact on the environment, if I scroll down, is illustrated in each of these legs, and it tells me how much carbon dioxide gas I'm responsible for producing. We can see here the map that recreates my trip as well. And if I go right down to the bottom, we'll see that my total trip summary for this business trip produced nearly a metric ton of carbon dioxide gas. Wow! I didn't know I had that much gas. There's been a lot of buzz about offsetting your carbon emissions by buying something called carbon credits. What does that mean? Well, I want to show you another website. It's called planetair.ca, and this is a site that can help you put a price tag on the credits that you need to neutralize the damage that your carbon emissions have done. So down here we have a quick offset. I know I have about a metric ton that I have to compensate for, so I put in 1 metric ton of carbon dioxide gas, and they calculate that I should be paying about $26, including GST, in order to offset that cost. And they'll even let me pay right here online. Now, if you haven't watched An Inconvenient Truth or The 11th Hour, you're probably still a bit confused about the whole concept of these carbon emission offsets. Actually, even if you have watched the movies, you might still be confused. But I want to show you the place that I went to get a lot of answers to my questions, which was the David Suzuki Foundation. As you'd expect, this site is full of environmental information, but the thing I wanted to show you is Go Carbon Neutral, which taught me where the money goes when I buy these carbon credits. Basically, it goes into producing green power, things like wind farms or planting trees, things that redress some of the issues of our carbon impact. We've covered a lot of very green ground today, and I'm pleased to see that my industry is becoming more environmentally conscious. And it's nice that we here on Dotto Tech can take some time and try and be a force for change as well. Now, I know we don't think that browsing the net or firing off an email has much impact on the environment, but it actually does. Our governments are starting to take some responsibility, but we really can't expect much leadership from them or from the tech industry if we don't start setting an example ourselves. The powers that be will start to understand how serious we are when we walk the walk. Now, from a practical standpoint, I'll be thrilled if you just start sending your ink cartridges in for recycling. Anything more is a bonus, a big green bonus. Happy Waste Reduction Week. See you next time on Dotto Tech.